What is going on, everybody, and welcome back. This is the Genessa one-shot build that so many of you requested. It deletes regular enemies, and it can melt bosses before they get a real fight started. The damage comes from a spinning sidearm projectile and Genessa's stray doubles. Those two pieces keep stacking hits in the same space until the target disappears. I will show you every skill and every Tarstone that makes it work. Then I will break down the exact combat loop so you can reproduce what you are watching. You can use pieces of this setup on another shell, but Genessa is what pushes it into boss melting territory. This version changes her from faithful to stray. Her stray doubles can inherit huge range damage and apply the infusion on your sidearm. That gives one projectile several ways to multiply itself. The weapon spins after impact, and the tether keeps more projectiles circling the same target. Phantom is applied while those repeated hits keep landing. That is why the health bar seems to vanish all at once. Start with the skill tree. This is not the faithful doubles tree from the earlier summoner build. We are building around stray doubles and ranged damage instead. 6 nodes matter here. Catalyst keeps the summons active and Communion supplies the damage. Causality transfers your sidearm infusion, and Alteration makes the whole playstyle permanent. Instigation adds Fragile, while Mirage gives you a small defensive option. I will take them one at a time because the exact tiers matter more than simply copying a finished board. Max Catalyst first. Tier 1 makes stray doubles cost 15% less resolve, and Tier 2 improves that reduction to 25%. The final tier increases their duration by 20%. That longer duration is important because every extra moment gives a ranged double another chance to contribute. The cheaper summon also leaves more resolve available for the Salvaged Trebuchaxe. This node does not create the one-shot by itself. It keeps the engine running long enough for the damage pieces to overlap. Communion is the raw damage node, and this one must be maxed. The first 2 tiers take stray doubles from 150 to 200% melee damage. That helps whenever they spawn with a close range attack. The next 2 tiers do the same thing for range damage. At the top, your ranged stray doubles deal 200% damage. That final line is the bread and butter because this build is designed around the sidearm. Do not stop before the 4th tier. Instigation is maxed because we want the last line on the card. The first 2 tiers are for faithful doubles and give them warp or phantom stacks. Tier 3 makes melee stray doubles inflict 3 weak stacks. The top tier makes ranged stray doubles inflict 4 fragile stacks. Fragile is the piece this setup cares about. Your ranged doubles keep applying it while the spinning projectiles keep connecting. The melee tier is useful, but it is the root to that ranged fragile effect rather than the reason we take the node. Alteration is what changes the character. It makes Genessa stray by default and increases the duration of her stray doubles. This build has the first 2 tiers, so their duration is increased by 5 seconds. The last tier would push that to 8 seconds. That is a good place for any spare points, but the extra 3 seconds are optional. 5 seconds already gives the doubles enough time to fire and feed the damage loop. Finish it later if you want maximum uptime. Causality connects the skill tree to your equipment. Maxed melee stray doubles have a 35% chance to apply any equipped weapon infusion. Maxed ranged doubles get the same 35% chance for your sidearm infusion. That ranged line is the important one. Monarch's Vestige permanently infuses the Trebuchaxe with Phantom. Causality lets the ranged doubles apply that effect too. Now the summon is not only dealing 200% range damage, it is also carrying the infusion that supports the burst. Mirage is the flexible point. The first tier lets stray doubles protect stray Genessa from 1 fatal blow. Higher tiers add another double and protection from 2 fatal blows. This version only takes the first tier. It is useful insurance, but it does not increase the one-shot damage. You can refund it and move that point toward the final alteration tier if you prefer longer summons. Choose survivability or duration based on what gives you trouble. The core damage works either way. Now for the equipment, the melee weapon is the Axatana and the sidearm is the Salvaged Trebuchaxe. The Axatana gives you a fast way to rebuild, resolve, and control a target with stasis. The Trebuchaxe is the actual boss killer. It fires axes as projectiles and works with the 3 sidearm Tarstones that create the spin, phantom infusion, and tether. Upgrade both weapons, but prioritize the Trebuchaxe if resources are limited. That is where nearly all of the one-shot interaction lives. The Axatana carries Hexapod Core, Torpor Stone, and Duality Stone. Hexapod Core consumes 60 resolve for a rapid succession of strikes. At max, it continues with another barrage for 80 resolve. It also grants warp and has stagger immunity. This is useful for clearing enemies around you, but it is not required for the one-shot. Think of Hexapod as the backup attack. It gives the melee side real stopping power whenever the Trebuchaxe loop is not the right answer. Torpor Stone is the important Axatana piece. It consumes 25 resolve to infuse the weapon with stasis, and the maxed infusion is permanent. Stasis helps hold a dangerous target in the area where the sidearm projectiles are spinning. Duality Stone makes every light attack in the combo strike twice at max. That means more hits and a quicker return to the resolve you need for another sidearm cast. These stones support the loop, slow the target and rebuild your resource, then move back to the Trebuchaxe. The combat slots start with Deadeye Stone and Spite Stone. Deadeye is simple. At max, your ranged attacks deal 40% extra critical damage. Spite is the riskier multiplier. At max, your ranged damage can increase to 160%, while your health is at 50% or below. You do not need to play wounded during normal exploration. Against a boss, lowering your health on purpose can push the burst much higher. Only use that trick if you are comfortable surviving the setup. Devout Stone fixes the resolve economy. A maxed Devout generates 28 resolve whenever your sidearm kills an enemy. Since the Trebuchaxe is deleting smaller targets, those kills help pay for the next cast. Headsman Stone fills the final combat slot and boosts melee critical damage. It is not part of the sidearm burst, but it makes your Axatana cleanup stronger. If you need to build resolve between shots, those stronger melee critical hits make the recovery phase faster and safer. Squall Stone is the first mandatory sidearm Tarstone. It makes projectiles spin in place after they hit their target. At max, they spin for 5 seconds and each spin deals 11% of the original damage. That turns one impact into a whole sequence of hits. Try to land the projectile where the enemy will remain inside that spinning path. This is why stasis works so well with the build. A slowed boss stays near the projectile and keeps taking the repeated damage. Monarch's Vestige is the Infusion. It consumes 20 resolve to infuse the sidearm with Phantom. The first two tiers last 4 and 8 shots, while the maxed version becomes permanent. Max it so you never have to rebuild the infusion before a boss attempt. Causality can then pass that equipped sidearm infusion to your ranged stray doubles. This is where Genessa becomes essential. The doubles already have 200% range damage, and now they can contribute Phantom while the projectile continues spinning. Tarred Fragment completes the one shot. It consumes 50 resolve to fire multiple tethered projectiles that spin at high speed. Tier 1 keeps them spinning for 6 seconds, and Tier 2 extends that to 8. The max tier increases the covered range to 150%. Squall keeps each projectile active after contact, while Tarred creates the tethered cluster. That is the spinning trap you see swallowing enemy health bars. Max both stones before judging what the completed build can do. Here is the combat loop. Against a boss, use the Axatana and Torpor Stone to apply stasis first. Once the target is slowed, fire the tethered Trebuchaxe projectiles into that space, keep the boss standing inside the spinning cluster, and let the repeated hits work. Your ranged stray doubles add damage and can apply Phantom through Causality. If resolve runs dry, kill a smaller enemy with the sidearm for 28 resolve. You can also use the doubled Axatana attacks to rebuild, then repeat the tether and keep the target inside it. That is the complete Genessa one-shot build. The essential chain is Alteration, Communion, and Causality on the shell. Then use the Salvaged Trebuchaxe with Squall Stone, Monarch's Vestige, and Tarred Fragment. Everything else improves uptime, resolve, or control. Put those core pieces together first and max the 3 sidearm stones as soon as possible. Test it against a boss and tell me how quickly the health bar disappears. If you change one of the optional points, drop your version in the comments so everyone can compare. If this guide helped you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I have more Mortal Shell 2 builds and upgrade guides on the way. Leave any questions below and I will help you get the setup working. Thanks for watching and I will catch you on the next one.